What's going on, everybody? Yashua Suarez with Edge Realty, and this is another episode of the Edge Realty Podcast. We appreciate you tuning in. You know, we're just starting off 2025. This is only episode 2 of our newest season, and we're so glad to have you here. Today, there's a lot of big things that have happened over the last year. Some great surprises that we've had here at Edge Realty, and we really want to kind of give back to our agents when it comes to recognition. And there's a couple of agents that we're going to be having throughout the season, but today's special guest that we have is our rookie of the year for Edge Realty. She is also she's a part-time agent, by the way, mind you, still became rookie of the year. She's got a full-time job. She's a mom, she's a wife, she's a community advocate. And I'm super excited to have her here. If you see her, you probably recognize her from all her videos that she's been doing over the past year and a half. And I'm super excited to have her here because, that's a little bit of my heart right there when it comes to marketing and social media. But I want to introduce you all, if you all do not know her by now, the great Caleigh Dumas. Welcome, Caleigh.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. There's, like I said, there's been a whole bunch of stuff going on. Have you had time to kind of reflect, looking back on the last, year to year and a half of this journey that you've come up to right now? Have you had time to kind of reflect? Has it hit you yet?
It's hit me a little bit. It really hit me more whenever I put my 2024 video together of just going back from the previous months of January and just seeing the lives that I was a part of, the impact that I did, the motivation that I didn't quit. And then after the video was put together, I probably looked at it quite a few times.
It's crazy, right?
I was like, wow, I should be proud of myself. And that's something that I don't typically do for myself, of being proud. It's just one of the innate things inside of me, and wanting to give my best with anything that I put my foot forward on. And then whenever I got the two, the $1 Million Producer Award and the Rookie of the Year award, it's like, wow, I really need to take a moment to be proud of myself. And then whenever you sent me the questions, I was like, dang, who is this girl? Like, who is this wife, mom, still working full time and being a part-time agent? But I feel like I'm a part-time agent, but I give full-time effort.
Yes.
Because there's no way you can do real estate and with people who are making one of the biggest financial decisions of their lives, of doing it halfway.
Absolutely right.
It was like 110%, zero excuses. And I was like, wow, I hit the ground running.
I'm so glad that you had the opportunity to reflect on that and really kind of give yourself the flowers that you deserve. Because that right there, I'm telling you, it's crazy because we get so busy, and with life, with family, with business, with everything that's going on around us, and we kind of do miss the great things. And I think as human beings, we do end up kind of having more of the negative things that kind of stick out to us, more than the positive do. And that's why it's always great to have that project at the end of the year where you're trying to, go back and see all the people that you've helped, all the people that, have come along with you on this journey, and really reflecting on that, because then you get to really see it's all in one package. Obviously you won't tell the entire story, but you get to see the impact that you've had over the past year.
Very true. Even the few that I sprinkled in with my kids.
Yes.
I was like, wow. I mean, mom in action.
Yes.
Am I a mom in action? If there was a time where they needed to go with me, they went with me. So the people that my clients and the affiliates that I've worked with, I let them know, hey, there might be a time that I might have to bring their kids. They say, come on in. They've embraced my kids. And just that's part of one of the reasons of being a real estate agent. You have to pivot sometimes. And part of that is you include your family and your kids.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then
it's part of it.
It's part of it. We have to, I think I can't tell you how many times I've had to bring my girls along with me on showings, and sometimes drag them because They're just like, another house? Like, come on, Dad.
Yeah.
But they're like, and they're always like, is there gonna be Wi-Fi there? I'm like, no, there's not
No.
gonna be Wi-Fi there. Get
No.
out of here.
Mine
But
begged me. Mine begged me to go. Are we showing houses today, Mom? I want to go.
oh, that's
I
so
want to
awesome.
go. No, not today. But the times that they do, I'm like, okay, behave. I have a 4-year-old and 3-year-old,
Hmm.
so I let them know on our way to the showing. Hey, behave. Do not run around. Do not go up and down the steps. Stay close to me.
Mine's very similar, but mine's more of the eye of death. You can kind of get the, the don't touch anything, don't
Yeah.
touch a thing, stay right with me.
Right, it's that tone of voice too, where you're clenching your teeth. They're like, okay, don't mess with mom or
Right.
dad now. Don't mess with them.
I can't help it. My parents used to do that to me all the time when I was a
Same.
kid. You go to the
Yeah,
store, don't
same.
touch a thing, don't touch
Yeah.
anything. You know,
Right.
it's just that preparation. You know what I mean? And then afterwards, if if everything goes well, then I absolutely thank them. Like, you know what, you did amazing. Thank you guys so much for being so good. I appreciate you. Let's go get some ice cream. You know,
Yeah, mine's like, did we get a toy?
yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. So, all right. So, for those that don't know, again, you are a full time. You have a full time position at a company. What do you do full time as far as like your position?
So full time, I am an accounting manager. And so my accounting background, I've been an accountant for over a decade, and I also have my MBA. So yeah, I'm behind an Excel sheet
There,
quite a bit,
there you go.
running
Awesome.
numbers.
So, and that's that. I think that was one of the big things that stood out to me whenever we first met, was because I feel like that gives you a leg up on being in this industry. What's
hmm
your thoughts on that?
it really has, to be able to have conversations with potential clients who might be younger or older than me. But knowing that I can talk numbers any day,
Mm-hmm.
any day, and to be able to analytically break down the market stats too, and how I can personalize that to um, the seller who is wanting to sell their house, and what the competition looks like, and what is how the market is
Mm-hmm.
at that time, because it can change from month to month and from season to season
And that's
too.
such a big part of our job.
Right. And then holding open houses. Oh, well, what's the going rate per square footage around here? What about the subdivision down the street? What concessions would the seller be willing to give? Is like being able to have really those types of conversations. The background that I have has helped me to have those conversations
Do you,
and to be confident,
yeah.
and
There you
to
go.
really
Yeah.
and to really know, like, to be confident in knowing that I have prepared whatever report that I've run, either a comp analysis or a net sheet, to go into that conversation and be confident, and knowing that I can hold my ground,
Yeah.
and I don't have to say, well, let me go ask so and so real quick. It's like I've already done that on the front end. Um,
And that's huge right there. I mean, like, cause having the knowledge of it, and I've said this so many times, and people are probably sick of it by now. But the confidence, you gotta, if you dissect it backwards, right? It's the confidence comes in with knowledge, right? And the knowledge goes into being able to educate yourself. So it's educating yourself, knowledge, then confidence, and then with that confidence comes a passion. You know what I
right,
mean? So it's
right.
it's one of the biggest things that it's almost hard to teach when it comes to what we do on an everyday basis. But the fact that you've had that for so long in your toolbox, you can do it with your eyes closed almost, to
hmm
where you can go ahead and what type of feedback have you gotten from your clients when it comes to that aspect of your job?
They look at, they're like, you did all of this, and they're like, that's why I chose, that's why I
Yeah.
interviewed you, and that's why I chose you, because at the end of the day, what are you trying to secure? You're trying to secure their end goal
Mm-hmm.
of what they're on the selling side, what their takeaway is, and on the buying side, what are they stepping into of some of the costs that are involved? And knowing that they're walking into, if on a piece of property that's going to appreciate in value.
Oh yeah.
And that's all part of, whenever we put in an offer, what we run comps.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, on the low end, it's probably this. On the high end, it's this. Here's probably that sweet spot. That sweet spot of negotiation. And so, being able to provide that value.
Yeah, I think it's super important just because there's all different types of clients, right? And I think that's a really big thing where it comes to benefit not only you but benefit the client. Whenever you have an analytical client, someone that is very like they just need to see the facts. They need to see the facts. They need to see the proof. Like, tell me what the numbers are. And those are the people I think that they do need a mind more like yours, you know what I mean? A beautiful mind, if I might be able to say. But like, it's a mind that will break down the numbers to them with confidence, just like you said, and being able to go ahead and let them know, like, hey, this is the research I've done, this is what the numbers are saying, and the numbers don't lie.
Right. Exactly.
And that's huge. That's absolutely huge.
I do have a client right now. Whenever we run a net sheet and I start, talking about the line items and what they include, she's like, what's my bottom number? She's like, I'm black, I'm black and white. And she goes, everything that you're talking about is the gray area. She's like, Dad, you do what you need to do. You know what the assignment is. She's like, what's my bottom number? And I was like, okay, you're right. There are a lot of different types of people. And so whenever you do meet them and do a buyer or selling consultation, you get a feel for what's more important,
what their personality is, what's more important to them. And it's always fun. Like, that to me is part of like the mental psychological game of what we do. And it's super fun because you get to kind of really find out, all right, I have a client here that is super analytical, I've got a client here that's super emotional, I've got a client here that is super, just like you said, black and white, just give me the answer. Give me the answer. And then you have other ones that are more like they need to be educated, they need to be you hold their hand, that type of thing. And knowing the difference between them is super important, so that you can tailor to whatever it is that they need most. And we have to almost kind of become chameleons and psychologists at the same time.
Very true. That's one of the reasons I didn't know. I heard about that getting into real estate, but I was like, I don't know how truthful that is. We'll see. But it is far to the truth.
Yes.
Of you are many different hats, and being a counselor,
all of the above. That's right. All right. So you're rookie of the year for 2025 or 2024, excuse me. And what's some of the biggest milestones that you feel has kind of catapulted you to become rookie of the year this year?
Like, as far as sale wise, or just personally, or all together?
All together. So I want you to like kind of tell people what you felt was the turning point that really kind of started getting you more business.
When my friend told me to keep my eyes on my paper.
Explain that.
Yes. So my first transaction was not the easiest, and unfortunately it wasn't successful.
Okay.
And so the delivery and the blow of not being able to see my clients that I've worked hard on for at least 6 weeks and see the smile on their face when they found the right house, that unfortunately it just wasn't going to work out because of financial reasons. And but also telling them too, and having the conversation, like, this isn't the end of the road for us. It just means that we have to have more of an action plan going forward. And I still keep in touch with them. They've, that's one of the things, like in real estate, pivoting. I didn't know how to handle that part of the aspects of a business, because my first transaction wasn't successful,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, maybe I'm not cut out for this. It's a lot harder.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder than what most people think a real estate agent does, and the value that we provide, and the setbacks that we may come across, because it not only affects me as a real estate agent, but also the other, the clients that I represent, the other people involved in the transaction. Um, so at that point, there were maybe other new agents that came on the scene that right out of the gate, they were hitting it hard. They were already having closings. And I was just talking to my friend just about, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. She said, Caleigh, keep your eyes on your paper. Don't worry about what other people are doing. You are offering a unique value to other people. Give yourself time. Keep preparing yourself for when your time is coming.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a turning point for me, was to keep my eyes on my paper.
That's awesome. So stay in your lane.
Yes.
Stay in your lane. Yes.
Preparing and crafting for who Caleigh is and what type of business I want to run, and also the service that I want to deliver of any client that comes to me.
You're absolutely right, because it's funny, because I had a conversation with a buddy of mine this last week, and he's like, I don't know how you guys do what you do, talking about real estate agents. And I was like, I know it's not for everybody. I get that. But he was like, no, I just don't know how you don't, like, how do you stay above the competition? And I was like, that's a good question. And I never really thought about it until he asked it, but something kind of just, like, I don't know if it was God talking through me or what, but it just kind of came out. And I was like, honestly, I don't look at the other competition. I can't, what they eat doesn't make me poop. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, not that phrase, obviously, I said it differently, but it's, I can't help what they do, and they can't help what I do. I've got to, again, stay in my own lane, right? Look at my own paper, and it's exactly that way. Because if we were to sit back and start reflecting on what other people are accomplishing, what other people are doing, we're taking time off of what we're doing. But at the same time too, it's a waste of time also. It's just a waste of time, because you can't, there's no benefit. There's no benefit in doing that.
Right.
You can look at others and see what they're doing and emulate it to make me help you. But to worry about what they're doing and saying that, oh, I can't do that, that's, then, I mean, at that point, it's almost like the phrase, if you feel like you can do it or you can't do it, you're right.
Very true. And I would also add to that, at that point too, I changed my social media platform.
Oh.
I changed my content planning. And I really honed into my skills of accounting.
Yes.
And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and speak to what's on my mind. I always get questions from family and friends like, hey, what do you think about this financial decision? What do you think, how can I save more? How can I budget? I'm like, they're not the only ones thinking of asking me this question, so why not go ahead and share that?
Absolutely.
So, so I changed my content planning, and also too, at that point, I was rebuilding my house. We can go into that story in a second. But I was rebuilding my house, and I asked the builder. We were talking, and I was just telling him, I was like, yeah, I mean, it's tough right now. It's tough. I want an opportunity. I just want somebody to give me an opportunity. It only takes one. I was reading somewhere, like, it takes one person to make a change.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was asking for that change.
Yes.
And he said, well, he's like, you've done a fine job with what you've kept up with in the building process. He's like, hey, I'm about to start on these 2 lots. I'm going to have you list them. What?
Yeah.
What?
The power of the question.
Yes.
Yes.
And just and goes back to in the confidence of asking.
Yes.
And I was like, shoot, I'm just gonna shoot my shot right now.
That's
You know?
right.
Let's see here. Going to a lot of the trainings and sales meetings. Just continuing to prepare myself to be able to be ready, to have the conversations with other people who may not be close to my personality type. Um, and that didn't start until maybe September is whenever things really started picking up, firing off. But I had improved on, I've improved on the craft that I wanted to develop months beforehand.
Yes.
And not quitting. You know, my husband always said too, he said, you know why you're doing this. Like, you know why you got into real estate. Just give it some time. Just give it some time.
Absolutely right. And there's a consistency.
Yes.
Consistency of and I love the fact that you were trying something before, you noticed it wasn't working, specifically with your social media, and then you switched it up and you said, you know what? I'm going to switch it up to what I do best. This is my lane.
Right.
This is what I am a specialist on, and this is where I give this is a big part of the value that I give, which is, knowing my statistics, knowing my analytics, and knowing how to break the numbers down for people,
right.
To make it to where it's understandable and it's easy to comprehend.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the fact that you took that and you went tenfold on it, and you started doing more of the market analysis and the market updates and things along that nature. And then even like some financial opportunities that may have come up for people, and then taking the content and making content out of the questions that you were receiving from your clients and families and friends.
Right.
That was perfect, and that's something that we preach on. And I would wish that more people did that more often, because it's easy as that. Because just like you said, if they have that question, there's going to be other people that have that same question.
Right.
So why not answer it to more people than one?
Exactly.
It's easier than making 500 phone calls. I can make a video and then 500 people can see
the power of reach with a video.
Yeah. Yes, most definitely. So what's like we said, you're an agent, you're an accountant, accounting manager, you are a mom, you're a wife, and amongst other things that you do in your spare time. What's like a daily structure for Caleigh when it comes to life in general?
Daily structure. Oh gosh.
Like, what's routine?
Routine is always drop the kids off at school in the morning. And then I have my coffee. I feel like my brain does not work best if I don't have at least one cup of coffee.
Fair enough.
And then I work lunch break, and that's whenever I typically look at the market. I look at the market every day.
Nice.
I look at the market every day, just in the areas that I typically have had previous clients, or potential clients. That's one of the things I've always done pretty much every day is look at the market activity, follow up on phone calls, work the rest of the day, pick up kids, dinner, and then if I have showings or if I have appointments afterwards, I'm doing all that. I mean,
dude, where do you find the time?
Yeah, that's another question I get asked a lot is, do you ever sleep? Yes.
It's a valid question.
Everybody. I've had phone conversations at 11 o'clock. Just people might be asking. I'm like, well, I mean, sometimes if I'm awake and I'm not doing anything else, why not? But I've known, because I say that, I'm also telling myself that is the fastest way to burn out too. Is you also have to have a healthy boundary with, even though I am super passionate about real estate and wanting to do my very best, I also know that I need to relax and just get my mind off of the one thing that I'm so passionate about, because it can almost turn into something that's unhealthy.
Yeah.
And then
Most
you
definitely.
lose focus, and you're slowly doing it for the wrong reasons.
It's a good point, because it's something that we all fall into. We all fall into that place where it's, the business is coming in, we're, trying to stay on top of it. We're trying to, keep our standards high,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to the type of service that we bring to our clients. And I think that we get lost in that, and then some other things. And a lot of the time, unfortunately, it's usually, and I know from experience, and I'm saying this from experience, is a lot of time it's the family that gets the butt end of what you
A
have to
lot of
offer.
sacrifices, especially on the weekend. However, like, I do let anybody know, like, Saturdays are, for my
Mm-hmm.
family. I do not. It, it is what it is. It's that boundary. On those 6 other days, we're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
And syncing up with schedules with my husband, that's been um, he has been a huge support in filling in the gaps of whenever I've been your homegirl, you
Yeah.
know um, and when um, I was wanting to go somewhere with this. But just knowing that too, like, every day can be a little bit different. And getting into this too, getting into real estate, we had the conversation, okay, so if I have to leave at dinner time, are you going to be okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you have to do baths, if you have to get the kids in bed, are you okay with that? There have been many nights where I've been stuck in the office super late, of either writing contracts or talking about an offer, or talking about, like, after the inspection, when a buyer wants repair requests,
Mm-hmm.
having tough conversations too of keeping a deal together. And he said, yeah, do what you need to do. Do what you need to do. So just knowing that sometimes my time is not on, it's when my clients are available.
Yeah. Yeah.
But knowing beforehand the support that I have, and knowing that I can focus on my client and he has my back with the family.
That's amazing, because I can't tell you how important that is, to be able to have that, because we are one of the very few industries that industries of service that we're at the whim of our clientele.
Mm-hmm.
Where sometimes it is a drop of a dime, and but to have that support system that's there, that will say, "Don't worry, I got you.
Right.
Go ahead and do what you got to do. We're a team on this," and being able to balance that out, that's absolutely important to have. Again, rookie of the year, here at Edge Realty. How do you feel Edge Realty has kind of helped and like supported you to kind of get to where you're at right now?
I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for the exceptional training and the sales meeting, and just knowing that was one of the aspects that Corbin said in the very first meeting. He said, the more you come to these meetings, the more you're going to take in and grasp and be able to apply, but it's up to you to come.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if this is what I'm going to be as part of my business practice, that's what needs to be done. And also too, like, whenever you show your presence to and know that you are trying,
Mm-hmm.
knowing of who I can call to ask questions, that they're going to be available, because I've been training, I've been preparing. I'm just looking for more direction.
Yeah.
So if I came in not doing those things and walked into a question almost blindly, and not knowing where to go, or even start at number one, how do I even fill out a buyer agency agreement?
Yeah.
If I never came to a training, and then if I go if I go and procure a buyer, but I don't know how to walk through this very important contract,
Yes.
then how have I been a service to myself?
Most definitely.
And then I go ask my broker for help. Well, why haven't you been to any of our trainings?
Yeah.
So just that standard from the very beginning.
Yep.
I knew what the standard was. I knew what the expectation was.
Why do you think, now being in it, your first, full year, why do you think most agents kind of fall short of that? If you had to guess, why do you think, like, what's something like, and the reason why I asked that is because maybe there was a point in time where it was in your head and you shut that down though.
In my head of what shutting what down?
Like, say, like a reason why a lot of agents may not take advantage of going to the trainings, coming into the office, speaking to the brokers, that things like that. Because the reason why I ask is I feel as though it's more often than not that a lot of new agents don't take advantage of those type of situations.
I can go one or two ways with this. The first way is they might think that gaining business is easy. And knowing that, it's just a few simple forms to fill out.
Mm-hmm.
They may not understand the importance of why you have to explain a contract and have everybody sign. And then on the other side of it is just from me being in corporate America and knowing the importance of signing that documentation.
Yeah.
I felt like I always knew that was a good business practice.
Mm-hmm.
Because I myself read over contracts too. And I think from just gathering information of why other agents might change is because they don't know how to structurally how to run their business.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I think also too, motivation. I think too is like, it's not a walk in the park.
Oh yeah.
It's not. When you have somebody who's putting, for me, even $1 down. Okay, well, what am I doing? Like,
yeah. Where's this going?
Where is this going, and who is it going to?
Yeah.
And so you're not only that, but like when you're representing somebody, like their livelihood is in your hands too. And that's definitely. To me, that is very serious. It's very serious.
Yes.
So I didn't want to take any of that lightly.
Well, it's good. Yeah. I mean, that's.
And also I'm licensed.
Yeah, right.
So, just what they stress too in real estate schools, you're a representation of your brokerage.
That's right. You're under oath.
Yes. And
in some way, shape, or form.
I sure also did not want to have that phone conversation with Jim.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's when Sergeant Jim comes out. That's when Sergeant Jim. You don't want to be Sergeant Jim. I knew Sergeant Jim. He was it's a different person from the Jim Young that we know.
Yeah. He's great though.
He is amazing.
He's
absolutely great. Amazing. We wouldn't be anywhere without him either. So it's so awesome. All right, so you are more than just a real estate agent and an accountant as well too. You've got other passions outside of real estate also. A big thing is that you've been a big advocate for motherhood. Mm-hmm. And tell me a little bit more about that. Like, what is it that brought you into that, and explain a little bit what it is that you do.
So with motherhood it almost stems from like first my sphere, my friends, and now getting into real estate too. There's a whole other platform of supporting other mothers mm-hmm. online in that community. The early parts of being a mom, being a working mom, and knowing how to balance, like keeping your self-care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then also caring for a baby early on and figuring out who you are as a mom too. And just knowing that any mom that I come across, like, I understand where you're coming from of wanting more for your family,
Mm-hmm.
and needing to know where you need to start.
I mean, parenthood is not anything to be taken lightly, you know what I mean? And
Right.
most of us, all of us, I'll say, we go in not knowing what we're doing. We are
Mm-hmm.
learning as we're doing. People always say, "Oh, but you know, you're always great with kids doing this. You're always great kids doing that. You know, you can read these books. You can, you know, follow it. All of that doesn't matter. You can read all the books in the world. There's a few things that may help you out here and there, but since every child is so different, I think going into it, and I was telling people this when I first became a dad, was, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll figure it out. And
Mm-hmm.
then, you know, everybody was always telling me, you know, what does it feel like being a dad now? And I'm like, honestly, I wasn't prepared, but I'm here and I'm doing the best I can,
And
you know.
it's amazing, like, you want the best version for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I also see other mothers. They want the best version for their self because they have little eyes looking at them.
Yeah.
And it brings back to there was one day the kids were at home with me, and my client wanted to go see a house. And I was like, well, okay. I mean, hey, I just let you know my kids will be coming with me.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, that's fine. So it was one of those conversations in the car ride. Hey, please, please behave. This is your first time meeting my clients. Like, do not run around like a bunch of banshees. Just please don't do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what they do, as soon as we get out, they ran to the front door and inside the house, and they started going. They did everything the opposite of what I said.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we were leaving, I said, I am so sorry. She goes, no, you're like, I'm seeing you be a mom,
Yeah.
like, working. I have not seen this side of you. And, I was like, yeah, mom in action, MIA, because they were just just running everywhere. And she was like, no, like, you're a real person.
Yes.
Like, you deal with what I deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another aspect of my business is anyone who has children, I let them know, hey, if we're on the phone and your kids need you or they're hollering in the background, like, it's not going to be a distraction to me if
Mm-hmm.
mine are hollering in the background or want to try to have a conversation with you. It at any point, let me know if it's a distraction, because I want you to be taken care of, either way.
Right
But at
on.
the same time, I can't help from life from happening.
Absolutely right.
And just in my mind too is I like to keep things very professional, but I also know I need the personal aspect.
Yes.
And that's one thing, like, I am super proud of being a mom. um I always thought, oh, well, if I work, my kids, childcare will be well taken care of. I'll work, go pick them up, and that is far from my life.
Yeah.
That is far from my life.
Right on. Absolutely. Absolutely. What all right, so with being a parent and then to bringing them along to showings and stuff like that, what's something that you would advise any other new agent going into the industry that is kind of the same similar position that you were in whenever you first came in? What would be like some of like the biggest things that you would tell them?
Even, I mean, mine being 4 and 3, they still understand. They understand if you talk to them, hey, mom is working. The mom is working. This is what I have to do. I need you to help me, um, and listen to me, um, because I have to help other people who need, who want to work with me, but I
Mm-hmm.
have to work. I also say, if you want toys,
Bribe them. That's a bribery.
If you want toys, then you have to allow mom. You know, you have to allow mama to work. Um,
It's probably better than mine. My bribery is ice cream. So.
yeah, no, mine's anything Spidey, anything Spidey. But really just being prepared, having what they need on hand, snacks. I mean,
Oh yeah.
snacks. I mean, I've taken an iPad. I mean, with mine being so small, you sometimes it's on a whim of saying I need to go potty. So, I actually have a portable little toilet.
No, do you really?
Whenever you first asked me that, I was like,
It's in,
oh
it's,
yeah, number one, I have, yes, it's in my trunk of my car.
no
Yes.
way.
Yes, I
Okay. All
have.
right. That is awesome.
It's when Joshua was first starting potty training, we got this portable toilet, and it has been a huge lifesaver.
Hey,
We do not leave the house without
and
it.
you can't, especially when you're potty training, you
Yes.
can't stop the consistency because if as soon as you do, it's like all the work you've done the past week or two, it's all
Yes.
gone.
Like I am not stopping. I am not stopping to go to the gas station. They've even come with me on my new construction homes. It was part of the framing part, and I just said, "Let's go take a look." And as soon as we got to that, I was like, "I need to go potty," and I'm like, "Well, I'm prepared
I
with
got
toilet
you.
paper."
I got
Yes,
you. Here we go. Let's
yes,
go. Let me get my handy dandy trunk right here and
yeah.
grab out this tool.
But I would also say just be prepared to pivot.
Hmm.
Don't be afraid to include your children in your business.
That's a good one.
But also know that there is a time where there's an element of your business that you need to be professional.
Yeah.
So any type of important consultation, to me, I like to have undivided attention. And that's if you need to have that conversation outside of when you may have your kids, to me that's important as well, is to have that professional element.
Most definitely.
And no, there's a time to be serious and there's a time to play. There's a time where my kids, might come in the mix. Like this morning, I had a buyer consultation. And but I was at home too, and we did the buyer consultation over FaceTime. And I can't stop my kids from coming into my office. And even whenever I have that conversation with them, like, hey, I'm going to be on a work call. You're going to have to be, in the other room,
Hmm.
occupied in the other room for a little bit. And I also try to, whenever I do have those important conversations, I try to time block, have an agenda, get it done. And then if I need to have conversations outside of the time we allotted, then I just wait until it's the right time without the kids near.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, long and behold, she comes into the office and I'm like, well, and she's all bashful at that point. But she was quiet. She let me talk. It wasn't until the very end she started getting upset. But I mean, it's always pivoting. We were almost done, so we got with what we needed to accomplish for the buyer consultation.
I mean, hey, you're always gonna be mom. Like
Yeah,
you don't get a break from
always.
that. So
Yeah, always.
it's always gonna be parent mode at all times.
Right. And just knowing too that family has to, and my children have to be to number one at times. And just knowing that everybody else, it's okay to call at a different time.
Okay.
And to talk at a different
Oh
time.
yeah. Oh, most definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I think people have a fear of telling their clients that they can't talk right now.
Right.
And they feel as though they have to pick it up. I've gotten way better at being able to say, I'll call you back.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'll call you back. I'm in the middle of something right now. And if it's either family time or if it's another productive task that I'm doing at that moment in time, I got to finish this. let me finish this. I will call you back.
Right.
That type of thing.
And I've gotten to that point too, is when I pick them up from school, until it's bath time, it's hard for me to have a conversation. It's hard.
Oh, yeah.
And I will not answer. I will not answer and have a conversation in the car whenever they're in the car, because it doesn't happen.
It doesn't go well. It's
no.
Yeah, might as well just let that go. Absolutely.
So I've noticed too that it's okay to say, I'll call you back.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. And that's, again, kind of going back to what you said, is having those healthy boundaries as well. What's something that's really motivated you this year?
Just knowing that I can successfully close.
Okay.
Close.
Yeah.
Knowing that I can get from start to finish, and everything, everything doesn't always go smooth, but just knowing that the goal is to get to closing and the exchange of, the keys to their home or the check in their hand. And that first taste of a successful close is what motivates, is what has motivated me, is knowing that I can do it.
Yes, and there's so much that goes into that. It's not just like the win, it's the it's the look on your client's face.
Yes.
The story of what you overcame to get to that point, if there has been stuff that you had to overcome, which 80% of the time there is.
Yes.
And then it's the outcome and then the aftermath. There's a lot that goes into that win and that feeling that's addicting of being able to help somebody get through a situation.
Right.
I think that right there is what's addicting.
Yes.
Almost more than the money, to be honest.
I was gonna say, just knowing that if I see their kids walk into their front door and say, "This is my house."
Yes.
This is my house.
This is my room.
This is my room. I've had clients where I had one. They told me that whenever their son walked into their room and walked into the living room, and just, it was that first day of being in their new home, their word was, "I'm so pride. I'm so pride. I'm so pride." But really it was proud.
Yeah.
I've had clients where they're and it was in November, so it was chill. I mean, it was cold. And they just had their utilities turned on closing day. And after closing, the first question that they asked was, "Can we go spend the night?"
Oh,
"Can we go spend the night?" And knowing them, I said, they're gonna be in their house the first night. So I messaged them the next day. I said, "So how did the first night go?" They said, we slept on blow-up mattresses.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's what it's about.
That's right.
That's what it's about, is just knowing that they're happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing to be able to kind of get to that point. There's always there's a bunch of different memories that I can kind of go through that really stand out. One in particular was, a mother that had two daughters, and she was a single mother, and she'd been renting for the longest time. She'd never owned a home, and she thought that it was just kind of impossible. And one day, like, she had the courage to ask the question, and she, when she spoke to me and a lender partner of ours, we sat down with her and we kind of went through everything, and we were saying, okay, so what is it that you would like to afford? Like, what's your budget? What do you feel comfortable staying within a month, that we can kind of work with that, so that way we can see what the budget is that you're working with for buying a house. And went through all that, kind of talked about credit and stuff like that with the lender and everything. Coming to find out, she was able to afford something that was at least, around $215 to $220. And that alone, like, blew her mind.
Yeah.
She was like, I can afford that. And like, yes, you can.
Yeah.
Like if this is the number you want to stay within each month,
Mm-hmm.
then yes, that's what you can afford.
Right.
And so that kind of blew her mind right there. And then from there, being able to go look at houses and stuff like that and see these houses, we went through, probably, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 houses. And then we finally found the right one. And the process of like her walking in the door and right within the first 2 minutes of being in that house, she was like, this this is like this is it.
Right.
This is the one.
Yeah.
This I can see myself sitting on my couch right there. I can see myself drinking my coffee right there. I can see my girls doing their homework right over there. And it was that just changed. And it wasn't even changed because she was excited the entire time throughout the process. But that moment right there, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is gonna potentially change her life.
Right.
And she
Yeah.
was saying of how much she didn't want to be in the place that she was at that moment in time. It was in a bad area. It was a 2-bedroom, so both her girls were teenagers at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So like they were both sharing a room, and it's basically an apartment. And they just didn't like the area that they were in, and the situation that they were in all together. And then to get her into basically a home that was almost brand new. It may have been a year old, and that right there was and then getting to the closing table, and then the tears coming out of her eyes, and I'm like, it took me everything not to start crying with her along with her.
Oh, I've cried.
You know?
I've cried. I've cried at a closing before.
I'm telling you, but
Didn't mean to, but it hit me.
yeah, right. Yeah, we
Mm-hmm.
and I think sometimes we're guilty as real estate agents and realtors and brokers of losing that sight, losing the importance of what it is that we do and how much it
Right.
means to them.
Right.
And I think that's something that I always try to go back to and say, this is a big deal. It's a
Mm-hmm.
big deal for them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yes, we do this every single day, so we may get a little numb to it, but we
Mm-hmm.
always got to remind ourselves
That's true.
the reason why we're here, and it's
Right.
to help them out.
Right. And if I can echo off of
Yeah.
that of the most impactful closing that I've had so far is it was a family of 6. They had been renting for over 10 years.
Wow.
And not only that, but how I got connected to them was I reached out to the husband who has his own business,
Mm-hmm.
and he helped me with one of my clients.
Nice.
And the very next day, I get a message from him saying, "Hey, what are your service areas?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Well, I mean, I'm licensed in all of Arkansas, but really my home base of business is Central Arkansas." And he said, "My wife and I, we want to see what our options are of purchasing a house. Can you help us?"
Mm-hmm.
What? Like, I just met you. I mean, and we first met on the community of Facebook and like contractors and really like sharing businesses and
Mm-hmm.
everything. So I had been seeing him comment a lot in all of the other Facebook groups. And so that's why I reached out to him. He just seemed like a person that would really take care of you. And so whenever I saw his message, I was like, "I know you work with other realtors. Like, you chose me.
Yeah.
Like, you chose me to reach out to take care of you."
Something.
And just knowing that he took care of my client and thought that I could also help him.
Yeah.
Like, that is the greatest honor.
Absolutely.
Like, the greatest honor that I had of knowing that he chose me.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like,
Absolutely.
oh, okay.
It's
Okay.
and that's huge because it was something either you did, something you said, or something someone else said.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it gets really interesting.
Well, it went back to he saw my videos.
Ah.
And he just said, just your approach. He said your approach, and you come across as somebody who is understanding, who is trustworthy, and that's who I want to do business with.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, thank you for like allowing me to earn your trust. And so anyways, so a family of 6, they had been renting for over a decade. And they reached out to me. They said, what is our first step? I said, let's get in contact with a lender. So they did that. They also saw a piece of property that popped up that maybe they could afford, but didn't know until they got pre-approved. So this one piece of property was also the reason why they got pre-approved. So the day they got pre-approved, I reached out to the listing agent. They had already accepted an offer. So we then started looking elsewhere for at least 2 weeks. And one property they really liked. It was everything that they were looking for to be able to homestead. But just how the property was laid out and for their loan type, it wasn't. I mean, we tried for a couple days to make it work. But then I get a phone call from the property that they really wanted and got pre-approved for. She said, hey, the buyers backed out. She said, do you are your buyers interested, and did you want to show their property? Yes, we will be out today. Like, we will be out in less than 2 hours. Let me get them on the phone. And it flowed from there. So it flowed from there, and they were so understanding and appreciative. I mean, this was an 11-acre property with a shop, with a 2,000 square foot manufactured home, everything, 2 ponds, everything that they were looking for.
Oh, man.
And the power of waiting too. And then also time is of the essence of when to execute, of getting pre-approved and knowing what you can afford.
Oh, yeah.
Like having that on the front end and knowing that they could make an offer that day because they were pre-approved.
That's right.
And so that's what they did, and they closed on their home a month later. And just seeing how much that their kids were looking forward to the next chapter in their lives of going to their home every day. It brought tears to my eyes at closing.
A big thing of ours here at Edge Realty is, especially for, quote unquote, part-time agents, is we love to make them full-time agents. Now I just preface that. This is a preface, but what I want to ask is, what are some goals for 2025 for Caleigh Dumas?
Okay, it's action plans. It's my action plans.
Okay.
I have goals on paper, but then it's the execution behind the goals.
Amen.
It's the continuing to be consistent and improve on one personally is the work-life balance. I am such a time management person. And so I know that if I want to elevate my business, I may have to start really being productive and time blocking.
Yes.
Blocking.
Okay.
Knowing that what is my activity for the day as far as like lead generation, in my business structure of like, you should always have a hustle activity. And then you should also have something that is also passive. You should be doing those two things every day.
Yeah.
Every day, whether that's following up with leads, or, my hustle really is social media, because that's also where I'm generating organic leads from.
Yes.
So just knowing the value that I am going to put out to a community that has supported me, and continuing to do that with value content. And then I almost do it backwards. Like, to me, passively is just following up, reaching out, and also networking. So those have been my activities, but then I'm thinking, what's the added layer?
Okay.
Like what's that added layer? And one of the aspects is that I'm I am the chair of Impact and Inspire Committee at
Yes,
North
yes.
Pulaski Board of Realtors.
Yes, you are.
So knowing that leadership role, how can I be of value not only one to the community, but for the committee members who want to be a part of the, I am the leader over the committee. So how can I also help other realtors be a part of this committee that is a part of a community that North Pulaski Board of Realtors oversees? How can
Yeah.
we impact the community, but not only that, but each other?
Yes.
So figuring that piece out too. I mean, I have a lot of different ideas, but I'm not yet able to.
You're not at liberty to express them,
Yeah, I
right?
can't let the cat out of the bag just yet on that. Um, some other goals is I want to. I really want to hit, and I'll just go ahead and I really want to hit 4 million in sales this
There
year.
we go. There's
I really, yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it.
it's on record.
I know. Yeah, and be accountable to that. Knowing that I could hit 1.5 million in sales in September, October, November, and December, 4 months. That is where I did the most. I mean, look,
The majority of, yeah.
that's when it hit. And knowing if I can do that and do all the other whatever else I have going on in my life, is like, okay, some things might have to shake off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something's
got to give.
Something has to give. I can't, knowing, it's one of those other things that I battle with is, delegating, and it's okay to say no. I think this year might be more of the self-improvement
Okay.
of that, and being confident in knowing of where I want to take my business. But first and foremost is like continuing to lead generate, maybe do a little bit more networking, actually asking people for their business, and knowing that, hey, you're just asking for their business. It's okay if they want to work with you or not. I want to continue to attract people who want to work with me, and but I know it's a two-way street. Let's see here. I want to continue to be the listing agent for new construction homes for the builder that I work closely with.
Absolutely.
I want to continue to earn his business, and just be a part of the Edge family. Continue to be a part of the Edge family and help out wherever I can, or wherever I'm needed.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. We are definitely happy you're here. We are so proud of everything you've been able to accomplish in this 1 year. The goals, the activity you've done, the way you've stepped up on even being part of the North Pulaski Board of Realtors. It's easy for people to say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. But then when you actually see it implemented, it's a completely different story. You know what I mean? Like it's execution is like what you said earlier. You've done amazing. We want to thank you so much for being a guest here today. Mm-hmm. It's been awesome to kind of get to know a little bit more about your story, a little bit know about your background, and what you have coming up here in the near future. We're hoping in the near future you can have something saying where it's, Caleigh Dumas, realtor, full-time realtor.
Yeah.
here pretty soon.
What,
Who knows?
hopefully pretty soon.
But dude, you did it. You've done
Thank
amazing.
you.
I can't wait to see what you do for this next year. If you haven't seen her, make sure to check out her social media. She's verified and everything on social media as well too. So make sure to check her out. You can't miss her. She does some great content, great market analysis and market updates, and really gets you the information that you need when it comes to buying or listing as well too. Really check it out, because I love the stuff that you're putting out together. And you along with your social media manager, it's really, really awesome the stuff you guys are doing.
Thank
So I can't wait to see what's come to hold for Caleigh Dumas as a realtor and as a person. And I'm honored to be able to watch the show from as a fan as well too. So,
you were my fan. You were my fan first.
So it's pretty awesome. So man, again, thank you so much. If you guys have gotten anything from this, or if you feel as though somebody else might be able to get some great information out of this, please share it with them. Let them know what's going on. Caleigh, let them know where to find you as well too before we go.
So you can probably find me on Instagram. Handle is at Caleigh Dumas. You can find me that Caleigh Dumas on Facebook. You can also call me or text me at 501-864-5595.
There you go. Good deal, y'all. There it is. All right, Rookie of the Year herself, Caleigh Dumas, right here from Edge Realty. All right, guys, until next time, we're going to cut this one right now. We've been going on a little bit further than we should have, but we get carried away. We're having a good time, but I hope you guys enjoy this. Hope you got something out of it. Please share, like, subscribe, and follow us on all the platforms. And TikTok's back, so we're back on TikTok as well too.
I need Cap
to come back as well too. But until next time, you guys, this is Yashua Suarez, Chief Marketing Officer with Edge Realty, and we love you. Till next time, let me know. Love you. Bye. Hey, thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of the Edge Realty Podcast. We hope you found the insights valuable and enjoyed the discussion. If you did, we'd love for you to help us spread the word. Please share this episode with friends, family, and anyone you think might benefit from our content. Your support helps us reach more people and continue bringing you the best real estate insights. Don't forget to engage with us on social media. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube to stay updated with our latest episode, behind the scenes content, and more. We love hearing from you, so drop a comment, ask a question, or share your thoughts on what topics you'd like for us to cover on future episodes. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our podcast, which is now on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Amazon Music, so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening and watching. We'll see you next time on the Edge Realty Podcast, where we're dedicated to helping you navigate the world of real estate with confidence and success. Until then, take care and happy house hunting.